How's it going, guys? Dan here. I'm going to do the Week 2 recap and the Week 3 projections of the League of Mashad's Fantasy Football League. First things first, we have one team that's 2-0, which is Andrew, and we have one team that's 0-2, which is Bill. And that leaves us with 10 of us that are 1-1 currently. And quickly look at the season stats. Lou has given up most points against, and he has the most points scored, leaving him in a good position for Lou here this year. It's tough it's good to see Lou up top. It really is. He's had a tough couple of years, and I play him this week, and McCaffrey is coming off like an 8-point week, so I'm not really happy about that. But everything else is just kind of even right now, except for obviously we have 1-2-0, 1-0-2. But I really think anything can really happen so far this year. No one's really out of it. I really think any team can really have a chance. I don't really have a prediction for like toilet bowl or anything like that yet. I don't really think anyone's really been devastated with injuries, that like people that are out for the season, that's really going to hurt them. So hopefully that does not happen. But as of right now, I really think there's a few couple teams that might be like on that upper echelon, but I really think there's a lot of teams that could really win. So let's look at last week's matchups here. So we have Lou versus Kasani, and Kasani being the number one scorer last week with 174.1, and Lou being the second scorer with 145.1. So unfortunately for Lou, he would have beaten every other team in the league except for Kasani this week. And with him, McCaffrey only had 8.3 points, so that's kind of a bummer for him. We're dropping 145, and your best player, maybe the best player in fantasy football, only dropping 8. So that's pretty tough. And also, Njoku, I think, left with a concussion and got injured, so he had 0. But good week for Lou. Kasani's team obviously did great. The Patriots defense dropped 35 points, which is just stupid in that regard. Defense giving you 35 points. But, as we'll talk about later in this, but for Kasani's team, Galladay, Julio, and Gurley are gone. And Juju did lose Big Ben. So, little different team looking for Kasani in the future here. But obviously a great game between them two and the highest scoring game of the week. Next game we're going to look at is me versus Fick. To be honest, I thought I had this game wrapped up a while ago. But it went down to Sunday Night Football against Matt Ryan with Freeman and Zach Ertz, and I did pull out the victory just by a little bit. But there was at a point where I was only down by about 3 points, and I had Robert Woods, Freeman, and Zach Ertz to play, and he only had Matt Ryan. So I thought this game was over. Then Robert Woods had one of his worst games since joining the Rams and had 6 points. But fortunately for me, I got the win. I'll take 1-1, and Fick also is 1-1 for now. Next matchup we're going to look at here is Mark versus Sage. I don't know if we call this a rivalry match or anything, but Sage and Mark are always kind of chirping each other, but Mark does get the victory. Saquon dropped 25 for him. Brady dropped 26. Tyler Boyd had a good game as well. Sage's team, a little lackluster with Kamara dropping 8, Sutton only dropping 8, and Allen Robinson only dropping 8. But obviously the same thing I said for Nate, their teams are going to look a lot different with Kamara being gone, Allen Robinson being gone. Also, we traded Sutton with Nard, I believe, and Mixon being gone. So it's going to be a whole new look for Sage and Kasani coming up in Week 3, but a little lackluster on the points scored by Sage this week, but I think his team will be a lot better in the upcoming weeks. So our next game is Nard versus Andrew, and a little bit of low-scoring game. Lamar Jackson's really been just dropping a ton of points. Unfortunately for Andrew, Michael Thomas did have 19, but without Drew Brees, his numbers might drop a little bit. Sammy Watkins had that monster game week 1 and dropped down to earth a little bit, I think, with 11 in this game. And for Nard, Hopkins did not play well with only 9. You would expect him to have at least 20. And I believe Singletary might have got injured. I'm not sure. But Kerryon Johnson had a good game. Deshaun Watson also had an off game. So I really think Nard would be fine in the future. I really just think his big two players, Watson and Hopkins, just didn't have a good game together against that Jacksonville defense. I think he will be fine in the upcoming weeks. And same with Andrew being the only 2-0 team. Did score only 105, but I think his team is a pretty solid team, and I think he'll be fine as well. Especially, obviously, you got that wild card at the bottom, Melvin Gordon. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. Next matchup is Wes versus Kev, and this came down right to the wire. Unfortunately for Kev, but good for Wes, that Baker Mayfield threw an 89-yard touchdown to Odell Beckham, which absolutely sealed the game pretty much. But Le'Veon had a good game with about 23 points, and Baker had 20, and I believe, he had Brown's defense with 12, so he did put up a lot of points for needing in that Monday night game. But Odell Beckham just had a monster game, especially that 89-yard touchdown, just put him over the hump. And really sucks to lose by just a couple points. But it was a good game to watch Monday night. It was a good game to see who would win this matchup. And both teams looking forward. Eckler and Bell are two great running backs. Mike Evans and Stephon Diggs have been a little lackluster for this year, but I think Kev's team will be fine. And also I think Wes's team is also looking nice, and I do want Travis Kelce, and Wes will not trade him to me. In the final matchup, we had Holmes, the commissioner, taking on Bill, and Bill, unfortunately, is the only team here that is 0-2. But I don't know. I feel like David Johnson, I believe he did get injured in this game. I think he hurt his wrist, but he came back and scored a touchdown, even though he only doesn't have that many points. And double goose eggs for Bill, which is tough. O.J. Howard and Deshaun Jackson both dropping a goose egg. I believe they both got injured. And that's a tough look. Double goose eggs. And for Holmes, T.J. Hawkinson had a monster week 1, coming down to earth a little bit with 1.7 points. That hurt. That hurts a little bit. Matt Breda had a good game. Chubb had a good game. T.Y. and Hilton and DJ Moore also did well, and Russell Wilson had a big game. But I really just think Bill got unlucky with his double goose eggs, and then Holmes. Then for Holmes, the tight end Hawkinson let him down a little bit, but Holmes comes away with a victory to at least go to 1-1. So I added this in. It was a huge trade that happened today between Sage and Nate, and obviously it's Peyton Barber, Julio, Gurley, and Golladay for Mixon, Kamara, Allen Robinson. It's a really big trade to look at. Obviously, Kamara does not have Drew Brees for about 6 to 8 weeks, and Mixon has had a little bit of a slow start, but he's been injured a little bit here and there. But those two players are top RB1s when healthy, and obviously when Brees is back and ready to go, Kamara is probably one of the best running backs to have in fantasy. Gurley's a little bit of risk this year. He really has been. He has looked a little bit slow, but also he's looked a little bit explosive sometimes. But it's tough to tell. Julio is just Julio. Julio's been getting touchdowns this year. He's a monster. He's probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. So I don't know. I feel like it might lean a little bit towards Sage here, but Kenny Galladay's also had a decent season. But in the long haul, I think Kamara and Mixon are going to be two really great running backs. So it's tough to look at that. If this is obviously Gurley from last year, this would have been crazy. But Gurley's not the same anymore. So I think a lot of people look at that and see Gurley's name and they just think Todd Gurley. But really hasn't done that much this year yet. So in all, I think it was a good trade. And the next trade we had right after I put the first one through was with Nard and Sage, and it was Lockett for Sutton and Hardman. And Lockett so far has had a good season, I believe. His first week he had a touchdown, his only catch. But this past week he had a lot of targets, I think 10, 11 targets, and he had a really good game. Sutton's also been really good for Denver. Him and Emmanuel Sanders have been doing good, but I don't know about Hardman. I feel like Hardman's just a plug-and-play player here until Tyreek Hill gets back, especially with Hardman and Robinson. But I just think he's kind of like a dead-end player. When Tyreek Hill comes back, he'll obviously get pretty much all of the targets, him, Watkins, Kelce. So, I don't know. I feel like it's an all-right trade. So, for the matchups of the week, I have me and Lewis as one of them. It's a toilet bowl rematch from last year. Lewis's team is looking very good this year. I do not think Lewis will be in the toilet bowl this year. I think he'll definitely be in the playoffs and definitely be able to make a run. I think his team looks very good. and I think it'll be a really good game. And for the next two matchups, I have kind of the same reasoning. I have Sage and Fick, and then I have Nate and Mark. Well, for Nate and Mark, I just think they chirp each other a little bit. And also, Nate has a completely new team, and Sage has a completely new team. So I kind of want to see how those two work out. Sage is projected 141.4, which I think that's just a lot of points to be projected. And Sage's lineup is looking nice, especially after that Lockett trade. I think Sage might be the number one, number two team with that lineup now, especially with Lockett as flex. But I think that'll be a really good team. And also for Fick, he has three really good receivers. Mark Andrews has been playing fantastic, and Chris Carson had a little bit of a slow game week 2, but I think he'll bounce back week 3. So those are the matchups of the week. I think though those two games, I'm kind of curious to see how Sage and Nate's new teams look like. They're pretty much brand new teams, so I'm just excited to see. So this is a little different. I threw the power rankings right up on the screen at once, 1 through 12. It's a little bit different. I feel like a lot of people are kind of just looking for their name right now and seeing where they're at. But I'll explain each one, obviously give my feedback on each team a little bit, but also it is kind of hard to do power rankings, so I got to give props to Holmes. Sage last week for doing last week, so it is a little bit difficult to rank everyone. So especially this early in the season when anything can really happen until tons of weeks left. So at 12, I have Bill. Bill, unfortunately, is the only team that's 0-2. He has two solid running backs. Brandon Cooks is a solid receiver. It's just he hasn't really he hasn't made any trades yet. He's picked up people in free agency, but he has his whole drafted team, and I don't know. See what happens. Unfortunately, O.J. Howard's not really working out this year. So number 11, we have Holmes. I like Holmes' team. It's not too bad. Breda did all right last week. Nick Chubb's obviously a solid running back. We'll see how that goes when Kareem Hunt gets back. T.Y. Hilton, obviously a very good receiver. Hawkinson didn't really have a good week this week, but also he did pick up Terry McLaurin, which he has been doing fantastic. I think he's a rookie, and I think he's been doing really good. And jumping in number 10, I have myself. I don't really know where to put myself because it's kind of hard to rank yourself. In the second off, I have Tyreek Hill and A.J. Green on my bench, so I don't think I can really give myself a proper ranking until they're back and healthy and into my team. So I put myself at 10th right now. At number 9, we have Kev. And I'm going to be honest with you, between like 9 and about 5, it was really tough. I really didn't know exactly where to put everyone, so I just did it my own way. I put Kev at 9 because Stephon Diggs and Mike Evans haven't been playing great, but obviously they're both good receivers, so I think they'll easily be able to turn it around, and obviously his team will become even better. Bell and Eckler are doing fantastic this year, so that's my reasoning for that. And coming in at number 8, I have Nard. Kerryon Johnson had a really good week. Hopkins and Watson did not do too well, but I really think that with the additions in his team with Cooper and Thielen, I think those are both. He's a really solid 3 wide receivers, and his running backs are decent, and I think Nard also has a very good team. It's hard to really tell, once again, so early in the season what's going to happen and if injuries happen or anything like that. So then number 7, we have Mark. Obviously has Tom Brady, Barkley, Fournette, Edelman. He's starting Fitz this week as what I'm looking at right now. Starting Fitz and bench Tyler Boyd. So we'll see how that goes for him. Pretty much has his basically whole drafted team except for Sony Michel. It has the standout player in Saquon Barkley. Fournette's kind of had a little bit of a slow start, but he's doing all right. Edelman and Fitz aren't really the best looking receivers to have your 1 and 2 spot. They're not really sexy players to have in your 2 wide receiver spots, but they've been doing okay. So I have Mark here at 7. 6, I have Nate. I don't really know how to rank Nate's team yet, for the simple fact that Alvin Kamara is without Drew Brees, but Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara, and I feel like he'll do fine. And Joe Mixon has had a little bit of a slow start, but both are very good running backs. He still has Juju, but without Big Ben, I don't know. I feel like this team could either do very well or it also could maybe fall a little bit. I don't know how Juju will do without Big Ben for the whole season. Then I have Fick. I have Fick ranked at 5. He has 3 very, very solid wide receivers with Adams, Allen, and AB. I feel like those are 3 top receivers in the whole entire league. So the additions of Chris Carson in a trade as well. Chris Carson had a slow week last week, but I feel like he's really that workhorse for that team. I think he'll do fine. And he has AP, and AP is going to be pretty much all the running backs for Washington, maybe Chris Thompson a little bit in the passing game, but without Darius Geis injured for a while, I feel like AP will get a lot of looks and some touchdowns as well. And at 4, I have Weston. Weston's team looking as Aaron Rodgers, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Odell Beckham, Tyrell Williams, Travis Kelce. Once again, Weston will not trade me Travis Kelce. I'm very disappointed in him. But I like Weston's team. I feel like Derrick Henry, I had him last year. He's kind of a bust, but this year he's turned out to be doing very well. Josh Jacobs, the rookie, took a chance on, is also doing very well. Aaron Rodgers is obviously a top quarterback. And I like Weston's team. I think he has a solid team. Number 3, I have Andrew. He is the only 2-0 team, but I feel like the number 1 and number 2 team just outweighs him just a little bit right now. James Conner did get a little banged up, and Damian Williams did get a little banged up, but they're both solid running backs. Lamar Jackson's looking like him and Mahomes are going to be both QB 1 and 2 this year, especially with Lamar's threat of running. So Michael Thomas did obviously lose Drew Brees for 6 to 8 weeks, but he obviously is a top wide receiver in the whole league. I think they'll still do fine. He'll still get his catches, but probably just a little bit less little less production without Drew Brees. Number 2 and 1. I have Lewis 2. I really wanted to put Lewis 1, but I put him 2. I only put Lewis 2. He's been scoring the most points every week. Lewis, I really feel like you're either 1 or 2, or you and Sage are 1A, 1B. Sage, after his trades, Sage's team is looking nice with the roster of Dak, Zeke, Gurley, Julio, Golladay, Lockett as flex, and Ingram as tight end. I think it's a very solid lineup. So that will probably wrap up the power rankings for right now. Let me know what you guys think of where you're at or whatever. It's really hard to rank people right now, I think, with everyone being pretty much 1 and 1, 1 2-0, 1 0-2. I really think it's tough, but hopefully everyone has a good week 3, and that's it for the video. I'll see you guys.